So you want to become a tech entrepreneur, now what? Chances are you want to be like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, or Elon Musk. This is a very good goal. However, they are a part of the 0.001% of tech entrepreneurs. It takes a lot of dedication, effort, and frankly luck to get to where these people are. Most people think that an entrepreneur is the opposite of somebody who has a full-time job. A person with a full-time job has a steady paycheck, whereas an entrepreneur doesn't, and you can either do one or the other. That is, you either have a full-time job or you're an entrepreneur and you go solo. This has never been true, and let's take a look at a practical example. In fact, it is the norm rather than the exception to the rule that an entrepreneur has a day job before they actually go solo. My favorite example is Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank. She is a real estate mogul in New York City, and she had a full-time job while she ran a company. Lots of other entrepreneurs, including myself, have done this. So how do you use entrepreneurship to your advantage? I use it as a tool to further my career. In fact, I use it as a tool to gain more career capital. And I graduated in 2008 during the global financial crisis, and at the time, companies were not hiring new grads. In fact, most of the job postings required years of experience where I had none. So I started a business in my spare time. This way I could create products and make money instead of going to school and paying money. This worked out very well for me, and eventually I didn't need a job. The business income was more than any job would pay for me. In fact, I got several six-figure job offers which I turned down because I made more money in the business. I know this sounds counterintuitive because most people don't think of entrepreneurs as having full-time jobs, but again, this is the norm rather than the exception. I wasn't doing anything different than what super successful entrepreneurs were doing. I was just simply copying what they did, and I made it work for me. It's better to keep your job at least at part-time capacity before you move on to your full-time tech position. Let's take a look at another practical example. Let's say you're a web developer with a steady paycheck and you want to freelance. This is great because not only do you get more money from freelancing, you get more experience that you can use on your resume. This is becoming more and more common in the tech industry as people who are really ambitious want to do more work than their simple job. In fact, a lot of tech companies will hire part-time or semi-full-time for other people to do freelancing work that's more satisfying to them. Being a freelancer is kind of like being an entrepreneur. You do have to put your name out there and make money at the same time. So it's very similar. Of course, it's not the same as building a company like Apple or Tesla, but it is very similar to, let's say, a plumber or a simple construction worker making money on their spare time in their own business. Side note here, you want to make sure that you're not stepping on your current employer's toes with a non-disclosure or non-competition act. It is very common to sign these in the tech industry as it is so competitive. After all, this company is paying you, so you should not compete with them. If you are in a job interview situation, you want to ask them if it is okay to freelance. Oftentimes it is okay to freelance as long as it's not competing with the company. If it's something completely unrelated like graphic design and you're a coder, then it's usually okay. Make sure that you do not step on your company's toes. But what happens if you want to just quit your job and start your company? There's a few things you should consider first. First of all, if you are going to do this, make sure you have enough money saved up so that you can actually pay the bills for a while. If you're doing this business all by yourself, you want to, before you quit your job, make a ton of connections and a ton of sales. After all, entrepreneurship is all about sales and less about the product. This may sound counterintuitive, but again, entrepreneurship is more about sales than it is about the product. Let's take a look at a practical example of someone quitting their job and then trying to make it as an entrepreneur. In this example, a person wants to quit their job to pursue their idea. This person has a full-time job, and in 3 months they want to quit it. So what should this person do? This person should save enough money to sustain themselves for a few months. One of the hardest concepts that entrepreneurs have to face is paychecks that are not steady. In fact, as an entrepreneur myself, I've almost never gotten used to the fact that every paycheck is different. Usually when you have a job, your paycheck is steady and you know what you're going to get. As an entrepreneur, you have no idea what kind of paycheck you're going to get. The next thing this person should do is find a lot of connections and sales leads before they quit their jobs. It doesn't matter how good your product is, if you don't have any sales leads, you're going to make absolutely no money. One of the biggest pitfalls entrepreneurs make is that they think their product is 100% of everything. Instead, it is more about sales and leads versus the actual product at the beginning. Of course, your product has to be good. In fact, it has to be amazing. But what you should do is start off with your idea and build 0.001% of your idea first before you move forward. This way, when you talk to people and find out what kind of features they want, it's more easy to implement. If you have a product already built out, it's very hard to build those features in. Talking to customers and talking to leads about what people want will make your product and your business more successful. Being a tech entrepreneur is more than just coding or building a product. There is a lot that we need to learn, and we're going to talk about practical examples throughout this course.